Hey everybody, I'm Josh Skinner for withjosh.com, and with me is one of my favorite people in the whole wide world, Miss Sherri Shepherd. It's you, it's true, I'm addicted to you, Sherri.
Oh my goodness! I'm excited to be here.
This is awesome. I'm in New York, I'm at The View, I've got to watch The View.
Yes.
So obviously, you're an author, you're a comedian, you're an actress, you're a talk show host, you're going to be hosting the Dove Awards, you're all over the place. You're on 30 Rock.
Oh my goodness.
Do you ever...
I love freaking saying that.
Do you ever want to pinch yourself?
Yeah, all the time. All the time. I go, I cannot believe I'm here. I feel like I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be back at the law firm that I used to work at, and some lawyer is going to come and say, why didn't you get that, those documents typed? And I'm going to say, oh my gosh, I dreamed I was like a talk show person and acting in movies. I so believe that. What
was it like when Barbara Walters herself called you and said, hey, Sherri, I want you to be a regular co-host on The View?
I screamed because she left a message. This was Barbara. She was like, hello, dear. I need you to call me. This is my cell phone. This is my number at the summer house. This is my number at home. This is my number at The View. And I was like, oh my God, Barbara Walters is calling me. Barbara Walters is calling me. And
what, did you think that's what it was for? Or did you think you were in trouble? What did you think?
I didn't know. I was like, why is Barbara calling me? And then, because when I would come and co-host, people would say, oh, you need to do this. And I go, yeah, whatever. Or when she called and she said, we'd like you to come and join us. I was just like, I said no. I first said no, because I told Barbara I have a son with special needs, and he has all his therapy in LA, and I don't know anybody in New York, no family, and I said, I can't, my son is number one. And I said no a few times, and Barbara finally, she said to me, I co-hosted, she said, well, thank you, goodbye, dear, and she walked away, and I remember calling my girlfriend, and I cried, and I said, I think I made the biggest mistake of my life. I said no. Barbara called me again. And they loved the way that I handled the whole explosion with Elizabeth and Rosie. They liked that I was kind of the comic relief, and that I didn't tell everybody what went on that day. See, closed mouth. Keep your mouth closed. Don't be talking and telling all your business. But that's one of the reasons. They said they liked that I didn't talk, and the offer came up again, and I said, okay, I'm scared, but I'll do it.
So, Sherri, what do you think is the biggest misconception of you after all this success?
I think the biggest misconception is when people misunderstand what my heart is. This is a job, The View. I get paid to give my opinion. Normally, I don't push my opinion on anybody. I don't push my beliefs on anybody, but a lot of people forget that if I did not give my opinion, I wouldn't have a job. This is what I get paid to do. So, a lot of times we don't have a great length of time to really explain our point of view. So sometimes you get little sound bites. And I think people judge me.
What is that like, though, when people judge you?
It hurts.
How do you not take it personal, though?
It's hard not to take it personally, because I always want to go, but do you don't know me, or do you know my heart? Or when people, especially when people go, how can you be a Christian?
But what do you say to those haters who hate on you for Jesus? Like, they're like, oh, why is she this crazy Christian? She's on The View, and, and she may have voted Democrat. Who knows?
Yeah, and I think people think that Christians are just these judgmental, people who think everybody's going to hell, homophobic people, and it's like, no. And so when people make those assumptions about me, it hurts. And I just go, I'm going to pray for you, and I hope that you can see my heart when you watch the show.
You grew up Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah.
Which is not...
You remember that? Knock, 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 knock,
yeah.
knock. I see you hiding behind the curtains. You don't want to open up the door.
No.
When Armageddon comes, where are you going to be?
No, why did you... being a born-again... I'm assuming you're a born-again
I'm
Christian.
born again,
yeah. It's completely different than being a Jehovah's Witness. And you left that, and reading your book, you're saying all these times where you were just, you had sinned, and they would tell you and make you cry. And why didn't you turn your back on God? I don't understand. Like, why... How did you go from being Jehovah's Witness to still finding a relationship with Him?
That's the most wonderful thing I think about the God that we serve, is you can turn your back on Him, but He never turns His back on you. And I believe that there's something inside of each and every one of us, this hole that cannot be filled with drugs, with sex, with liquor, with nothing. It's God, like calling, like this magnetic pull. And I just feel like when I left the Jehovah's Witness religion, because I just felt like, they excommunicated my dad, they disfellowshipped my dad, and I felt like, what is God about? I just still felt like there was this pull. It was an emptiness. And it was a depressing time that I went to, because my mom was had diabetes, and she was dying because she wasn't taking care of herself health-wise. And I was just in a really dark place, in a very physically abusive relationship. And my sister was on, not doing well with her kids. And I just still felt this pull, but I didn't know what it was. And I just felt like, I remember one day I was on the floor and I just was crying. It was one of those crying sessions, the snot was coming out of my nose. And I just said, if you love me, or if you even care a little bit about me, can you just show me? I don't know what to do here.
But how did you redefine God from that religion to where you're at today in your life? That's what I'm curious about, because it's completely different.
I just felt like with the Jehovah's Witnesses, it was not about a relationship with God. It was about a set of rules. It was very black and white. If you do this, you'll get into the new system. They don't necessarily believe in heaven. If it was like a new system on the earth. If you don't do this, you're not going to make it. It was like punishment. And so I never felt like I always feared God. God was this person that was like, I'm going to get you if you do wrong. And then I became a born again Christian. And then, as it's just been this journey with the Lord of realizing He's not this God that's going, I'm going to beat you. It's this God going, I love you. I expect the best from you. I want so much for you. I want to do so much for you. I want this. Talk to me. You don't have to say these big fancy. I thought I had to say, sometimes you meet these people in church and you go, how you doing? And I'm blessed and highly favored and God is good all the time. And I was like, okay, I can't do all that.
You're like, where's my big hat?
Where's my hat with the fruit hanging off the side? When people say hey to me, I go, hey, how you doing? How you feeling, Sherry? I'm tired. No, you're not tired, in the name of Jesus. You are born again. And I was like, I don't know that. And God was saying, you don't have to know that. I just want to talk to you. Come and say hi to me. And it was just like, I started realizing it wasn't about rules and it wasn't about religion. It was about having a relationship, a back and forth, a give and take, and realizing that God, when I make a move, God makes a move. And He cares about me. And sometimes I fall. A lot of times I fall. But I got this amazing God who says, get on back up, girl. I knew you was going to do that, but you know what? I'm right here.
Well, I want to talk about the book really quick before we start wrapping up. You were very open, like very open. I felt like I read things that I shouldn't have read. Like
I'm real open.
You talked about losing your virginity. You talked about your husband having an affair and having abortions.
Yeah.
When you talk about all that pain and what you went through, and especially with your affair that your husband had, did you feel like telling it was not only going to help other people, but it kind of vindicated your pain in a sense too?
I've always been like that ever since I was a little girl. I always told everything. I was the girl that said, my parents were like, why do you keep telling everything? So I always did that. But you know what? I just feel like people, so many times I look at these people in Hollywood and they go, you're perfect. Everything about you is perfect. And I just want people to know, behind the makeup, behind the hair, it's not perfection. There's a lot of broken people here. And if I can say to women who, like abortion is such a taboo subject, and a lot of people don't talk about it. Unfortunately, I had many, many abortions when I was a teenager. It was low self-esteem, it was insecurity, it was sexual promiscuity, and it was my birth control. It's something that is a bad thing. And I was so guilty about it for a long time, and I would blame myself, and I felt so much shame, and I felt like when it was very hard for me to get pregnant, I took that guilt on.
You felt like you weren't getting pregnant
because of the abortions?
I felt like
I deserved it because of the abortions. Like, why do I deserve to have a baby? I killed babies. And my day was just depressed. Even though I made people laugh. I always had a smile. I always made people laugh. And then one day, I was at a conference, Women of Faith, and this woman, I swear, it set me free. And she said, Sherri, when you go to heaven, because everybody had always said, Sherri, God forgave you. You asked for forgiveness. And I was like, yeah, but I can't forgive myself. And she said, when you go to heaven, your babies will be there waiting for you with their arms open, and they're going to say, Mama. And she said, you name those children. Name your children, because they'll be going, Mama. And that vision of my babies waiting there for me, it just set me free. So it's not that I brag about it or I say I'm not, I feel what I did wasn't wrong. Yes, it was. But I got set free of all of the stuff that was just like this. because I know they're up there. They're up there with their grandmother and their aunt and their, you know, my mom. And it's like they got a host of brothers and sisters, and they're waiting for me. And I'll be up there. And I'll have a lot of them, you know. And so it's stuff like that. And I feel like so many women, when I told that story, I got people totally came against me and talked about me and judged me. But there were a lot of women who said, thank you, because I'm going through it and I don't have anybody to talk to this about. I've carried this with me for years, of the baby that I got rid of. And because you were able to talk about it, it allowed me to say maybe I could find a friend to talk to.
Well, you said something in your book that really touched me, and I just wanted to end with this. You said parents come around to your way of thinking once you've had success. And I want to know, what do you mean about that?
I feel like Shirley MacLaine. What did I say?
No, you said parents come around to your way of thinking once you've had success.
You know, my parents, before I got here to this level, they just shook their heads going, I don't know what's going on with this girl. I have no idea. Okay, she done been to jail. She done got a car repossessed. She done been evicted. Sherri is, you know, but they always knew I wanted to be an actor or a comic, and they were so frustrated with me. But I think they now see I went after something that I believed in, and it paid off. I don't know what would have happened with my parents if it hadn't paid off, but you know, it paid off. And so they kind of came around to going, okay. And they're really with me now that I'm a mother. You know, it's something about being a mother that just is the equalizer, man. I tell you.
Do you want to have more kids?
Yeah, I went to the fertility clinic yesterday to see if my eggs that have been in the refrigerator for a long time. You know, when you get those eggs in the refrigerator, you open up the carton and you go, gosh, how long? What is the expiration date? So now I went to see, is there anything in here?
Hello?
You crack it and it's like nothing.
It's like dust.
So they went and checked my eggs. I'm about to get married and we want to have one more child. So they checked my eggs to see if they're still viable, if we can still use my eggs. So I'm waiting to hear. So yeah, we're doing fertility.
What would you say to all those women who are doing fertility right now? Because that's a huge process.
Yeah, fertility, it's an emotional journey. It's hard because you so want a baby. You want to hold something that came from you. And to see so many people who just throw away their children, and you're trying so hard for one, it's hard. I would say don't give up. I would say, you know, just stay in prayer and cling to your mate, because this is something that breaks up marriages. And cling to your mate, and you know, you got to leave it in God's hands. At one point I just went, you know what, Lord, whatever your will is. And I got this amazing baby. He came at 5.5 months on my birthday with a host of problems, and they said he would have cerebral palsy and mental difficulties and challenges and be paralyzed. And it was a hard one. And I remember going, Lord, what is your will for this child? And every day that I look at this little boy that they say wouldn't be able to walk, and he runs to the door and he says, Mommy, you're gorgeous, and he kisses me gently, I go, yeah, I see what your will was. You know, definitely hang in there, because there's something at the end of this rainbow.
Speaking of rainbows, you said in your book, you really have to buy Permission Slips, Sherri Shepherd. You said dreams are contagious.
Yeah.
And I want to say thank you for being a part of my dream.
Oh.
And if you have anything to say to all your fans out there, I love this woman. Please tell them
oh wow! To my
message.
fans,
yeah.
You know, I really have to say I thank you from the bottom of my heart for your support. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for your prayers when you tell me that you're praying for me, because I need them. And just thank you for really, when I fall and say things that you don't agree with, that you still love me anyway, and that you choose to look past and see my heart. So I thank you. And as you pray for me, when I'm on my knees, I always pray for you.
If you want more information with Sherri Shepherd, you can go to sherrishepherd.com. Just look below. And also follow her on Twitter. And, of course, check her out on ABC every day, Monday through Friday. Sherri, thank you.
Thank you.
This was an awesome interview.
Oh, thank you.
I love it. Thank you.
You're a good interviewer.